I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now. The second I heard the news, I wanted to make this video. I decided to wait to get some more information. Plus, there was the release of episode 2 of The Walking Dead, the final season. And I did need to postpone episode 1 of Life is Strange 2 to make this video, to get this out on time. This video is going to be separated into 5 sections. The history of Telltale Games, the announcement they made this past Friday, what went wrong with Telltale Games, leading to its ultimate failure, how will gamers look back on Telltale Games, what did they do to change the industry, change the genre, and finally, my personal opinion. Of course, this is Will 12 Bell Talks. It's going to be, of course, a biased opinion. I've been playing Telltale Games since I was 12 years old, almost 7 years ago. This company created my childhood. The history. Telltale Games was created back in 2004 when a group of LucasArts employees left the company due to cancellation of Sam and Mac freelance police. They later tried to buy the rights to the game but were unsuccessful. They released their first game, Telltale Texas Hold'em, in early 2005. It was mostly to test out their soon-to-be infamous Telltale 2 game engine, a buggy mess we'll talk about later in this video. In 2005, they were able to start development on a brand new Sam & Max game, Sam & Max Save the World, after LucasArts license expired. It was released in episodes somewhat highly reviewed. They continued to develop the Sam & Max series for a few more seasons. Telltale Games also gained the license to another former LucasArts series, Monkey Islands, resulting in the 2009 Tales of Monkey Islands. In 2010 and 11, they scored big brand licenses with Back to the Future and Jurassic Park. The Jurassic Park game introduced a number of core gameplay standards that Telltale uses to this day, them being quick time events, limited time choices, and as well as events that could cause a player character to die. I'm not saying either of these. Fucking course. What the fuck? I didn't like either of them. Silence is always an option, right, Telltale? Right? Silence is always a valid fucking option. Everything changed for the company in 2012 with the release of the Quantic Dream's Heavy Rain inspired Telltale's The Walking Dead. This game would change the genre as we know it. Every other Telltale game would be based on the standards that this game made. Gamers and critics alike went on and on about great story of a former professor turned murderer, Lee Everett, trying to protect a little girl, Clementine, in a now very dead and dangerous world. This game would mark the peak of Telltale's success, amassing over $40 million in sales. It came with the belief that player choices could change the outcome of the game.
Blowjob, 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 blowjob.
Why do I have to fuck everything up?
Fuck.
In reality, the choices did not matter. Besides a few minor dialogue changes here and there, the player could not ultimately change the story.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop fucking lying. Always lying to me. You lying so much. You making it hard for me.
The illusion was furthered with an online feature where you could see other choices. Many gamers like myself accepted that the story wasn't branching and would always ultimately lead to the same conclusion. But they enjoyed the game anyways. They enjoyed the game for what it was, a great story that could leave a full-grown man, or in my case, a 12-year-old boy, in an emotional train wreck for months to come. Telltale realized there was some serious money in major franchises. Every game after 2012 was. In 2013 and 14, Telltale released a couple fan-favorite games, The Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands, and Game of Thrones, as well as Season 2 of The Walking Dead. All these games were relatively well-received, still plagued with, of course, Bug, and a non-branching store, which each had their own unique take on its franchise. Tales from the Borderlands, however, was not profitable enough to ever receive a sequel. In January 2015, CEO Dan Connors steps down and co-founder Kevin Bruner takes over as CEO. In February of that year, Lionsgate announced an investment of $40 million for a number of so-called super shows. At this point, fans were fed up with Bug as a result of Telltale's game engine, many asking to update the engine. It was outdated. Not only that, Bruner was quoted, "We've basically built the studio to handle up to 4 Telltale series at the same time, with a little extra for special projects." Many thought that the teams were being spread too thin, and as a result, a worse product. Many team members working long hours trying to meet their deadlines, and as a result, a number of Telltale employees started to leave. In 2015 and 16, 3 out of the 4 games released were financial failures. Both Walking Dead games getting mediocre scores, only Minecraft Story Mode making a real profit, and Batman, the Telltale series, being one of the biggest financial failures in the company's history. In March of 2016, Bruner was practically forced to step down by the board of directors, only being CEO for just over 2 years. Pete Hawley was named CEO and was seen as the savior of the company. Announced during July 2017, The Walking Dead: The Final Season was going to bring an end to Clementine's story arc. This was going to be the final game that would use the buggy game engine known as the Telltale Tool. And in November of 2017, Telltale cut 90 positions, about 25% of their staff. Hawley said the cuts were for reorienting our organization with a focus on delivering fewer but better games with a smaller team. This was seen as a step in the right direction to the fans. At E3 2018, Telltale Games announced a deal for an interactive project based on Minecraft Story Mode and a Stranger Things game with Netflix. In mid-2018, things were looking on the up and up. A new CEO ready for change, promises of a new engine being used, and 2 promising deals with Netflix. So what gives? It always comes down to money. Co-founder and former CEO Dan Connors regarding the recent closure. Unfortunately, when the last potential financial backer abruptly pulled out, we were left in a position where we had no choice but to stop production. Sadly, everyone was so focused on doing what was required to keep the company going that when the last potential partner backed out, there was no other options. It was believed that the backer was Lionsgate. There were also reports that AMC and a Korean developer known as Smilegate were in talks to invest in Telltale Games, both of which pulled out the day before the announcement. That brings us to this past Friday, the announcement. So if you haven't heard already because you've been living under a rock or just don't follow the gaming industry that closely, Telltale Games, a team behind the already mentioned award-winning game The Walking Dead, has announced a majority studio closure. The official Telltale Games Twitter released this statement last Friday. Today, Telltale Games made the difficult decision to begin a majority studio closure following a year marked with insurmountable challenges. A majority of the company's teams were dismissed earlier this morning, with a small group of 25 employees staying on to fulfill the company's obligations to its board and partners. CEO Pete Hawley issued the following statement. "It's been an incredible, difficult year for Telltale as we work to set the company on a new course. Unfortunately, we ran out of time trying to get there. We released some of our best content this year and received a tremendous amount of positive feedback, but ultimately, that did not translate to sales. With a heavy heart, we watch our friends leave today to spread our brand of storytelling across the gaming industry." This left fans like myself dumbfounded. Episode 2 of the final season was to be released that following Tuesday, and 2 and 3 are supposed to be released by the end of the year. Soon we're getting horror stories of recently fired Telltale employees, some of which have gone viral, such as Brandon Sabeka. "I got laid off at Telltale. None of my sleepless nights or long hours on weekends trying to ship a game on time got me severance today. Don't work overtime unless you're paid for it, y'all. Protect your health. Companies don't care about you." None of the 225 staff had gotten their severance pay. Emily Grace Bug had been giving us tons of information. Around 250 people are jobless. We did not get any severance. Our healthcare only lasts for 1 more week. Many former employees were contract and can't get unemployment. There are people who started at Telltale Games as recently as a week ago. Some of these people have children. At least one of them relocated across country. A lot of these Telltale devs have families and children, and now they don't even have a paycheck. Not even a severance paycheck. I know you're wondering about what's going on with the previously announced game. Seems like The Walking Dead: The Final Season Episode 2 is dropping Tuesday. Wolf Among Us Season 2 and Stranger Things are cancelled. Not sure what else I can say. I got confirmation that at least one, and possibly more, former Telltale employees was a foreign national here on a work visa and now has to leave the country within days. This is a nightmare. The team was only given a 30-minute notice to leave the building. This past Monday, a lawsuit was filed against Telltale Games from former employees for violating the Federal Workers Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. Most businesses with at least 100 full-time workers must notify employees 60 days in advance of any plant closing or mass layoffs. The employees weren't even given 60 minutes, let alone 60 days. The official Telltale Twitter also released an update regarding the final season of The Walking Dead. Hi everyone, we have a Walking Dead update for you. Multiple potential partners have stepped forward to express interest in helping to see the final season to completion. While we can't make any promises today, we are actively working towards a solution that will allow episode 3 and 4 to be completed and released in some form. In the meantime, episode 2 will be released tomorrow across all platforms as planned. We hope to have answers for your other questions soon. This past Wednesday, The Walking Dead, the final season, had been removed from Steam, the PlayStation Store, GOG, and the Xbox Marketplace, as request of Telltale Games. They're still looking for someone to complete the series. There had also been some leaked Stranger Things footage, with Netflix expressing interest to still complete the game, but with a new partner. That brings us to today, with many questions yet to be answered. The biggest one being, what went wrong with Telltale Games? The investors pulled out. We will start with the most obvious one. As I had already explained, the investors, Lionsgate, pulled its support because the super shows were going nowhere, and potential investors, Smilegate and AMC, backed out hours apart from each other the day before the announcement. This is the easy answer. No money, no company. But things were going way wrong before Telltale lost its backer. They stopped innovating. After using the same engine over the years, it was beginning to become outdated. It is rumored that the engine had no physics system, as well as the same formula that made the successful Walking Dead. Nothing really changed the past 6 years. After that, Kevin Bruner was content on pumping the same type of games over and over again. They were spread too thin. Many believed as a result of Kevin Bruner's poor leadership, the company was spread too thin. Him believing that the company could support 4 titles in production at the same time was a huge mistake. This led to an unforgiving crunch time for the employees, working long hours and weekends trying to get the game out on time, resulting in some of the best employees leaving the company, further deteriorating the quality of the games. Kevin Bruner. On top of Kevin Bruner spreading his staff too thin, resulting in this crunch time, and being content with producing a multitude of mediocre games instead of a few great games, he refused ideas from his staff, never willing to try new things and take risks like they once did. No wonder he was booted out of the office by the board of directors. Too little, too late. It was just too little, too late. When Pete Hawley took office, it was a breath of fresh air, but the damage by Bruner had already been done. The company's sales had not been doing great for years, and the studio's image would forever be tainted, being known for the constant bugs that not even great storytelling could fix. Resulting in the loss of backers, Pete Hawley inherited a company ready to explode. He tried his best, but like he said, they simply ran out of time. Looking back on Telltale Games, the company's not perfect, as I just explained. In no way were they bad either. They helped bring the traditional point-and-click adventure into the 21st century. They changed the adventure game as we know it. Instead of jokes, they brought drama. Instead of laughter, they brought anger, sadness, and death. Telltale's The Walking Dead brought us exactly what we needed in the exact right moment in time. It will forever be remembered for its amazing writers, bringing us a heartbreaking story that still to this day gives me shivers and can bring a tear to my eye. It has brought inspiration to a number of other series, such as Life is Strange. I hope we will be talking about these games for years to come, and it will remain a pop culture icon. I'm excited to see what the individual members of the team will be doing next. My thoughts and opinions. Okay, this is a part where I give my truthful and biased opinion about the studio's closure, what its game meant to me, and to be as genuine as possible. I wanted this to be unscripted, so the script ends here. Okay, so now there's gonna be a multitude of cuts because there's nothing for me to look on now. Like I said, I played the first Walking Dead in 2012. I think I started playing the game when episode 2 came out. So I played episode 1 and 2 on the same day. I remember my brother telling me he had found a cool game and that he played the trial for it, because back on the Xbox 360 Marketplace you could play like a little free trial. So I played roughly the first 15 minutes of the game, and I was blown away. I asked my parents money to buy the game, and obviously they did. Sure enough, I completed the game, but it was only an hour and a half And then I realized, to be continued. This was not the full game, it was going to be released in parts. And sure enough, the next episode would be released that following day, so I managed to convince my parents to buy that game. And my brother slowly drifted away. I told him about the news of Telltale Games closing, and he didn't really care. So, and I don't think many people care. I think Telltale came, it was a very important time in my life. You know, I'm still 12. It always gave me something to look forward to, you know, when times were tough. It's like, oh, but there's always this Telltale game that'll come out in roughly a couple months, because they were just pumping out those games like fucking crazy back then. Holy shit. And still were until last week. And as a young kid, I used to skip the cutscenes. You know, all you want to do is play the game. You want to shoot the monsters, fucking, I don't know, like whack shit with a ratchet Ratchet of Clank, of course, but it skipped the cutscenes. In this game, you couldn't skip the cutscenes. There were no cutscenes. The entire game was a cutscene. And that's where the love of my story games was born. Instead of playing, you know, first-person shooters like Call of Duty back when it was good, and I had just gotten into Halo, I also loved story-driven games, you know. The writing of these games, absolutely amazing. And, of course, what I didn't realize at the time, that none of these games were actually branching stories. It always came down to the same ultimate conclusion. But like I said, I stopped caring about that, and my gut still has a terrible feeling in it for this past week. Ever since I heard the news, I just haven't felt right. Seeing one of my favorite companies just go downhill when it looked so promising, and not knowing if we'll ever see the end of Clem's story, that also really scares me, to be honest. Some of my favorite games are from this company, and knowing I won't see more of them, it breaks me. And seeing how they've been treating their staff, it honestly disgusts me. And lucky enough, the gaming community has come forward and tried to help the staff with the hashtag Telltale Jobs. So I'm just saying, if you guys have a job that maybe some of these Telltale employees could get a paycheck, feed their families, of course. Honestly, many people think the root of all problems was Kevin Bruner, but I don't think so. I think the games are going a little bit downhill since then. First off, I think episodic games, when you're pumping out episodic games, you should always have a break time, you know? Because as soon as one game finished, the next one would start. They're working on a multitude of games at one time, and that's always a big, big no. They should have used a different engine a lot sooner. I'm talking about 5 years ago. Like, Telltale The Walking Dead should not have been on that engine. And of course, it was just too little too late. I really did like Pete Hawley. I thought he could do some great things for this company. And now it's just gone. now the company's almost non-existent. Finishing up that thing for Netflix. Why can't they just finish up the fucking game? And some people are like, hey, why can't the Telltale devs, if they love the game that much, go there and finish the game for us? It's like, no, fuck you. You think they're gonna work on a game that, and not get paid for it? Like, no, I would never ask that of them. I mean, that'd be great if they did, but I would never ask that of them. They had already been working on games and not getting paid anyways. No, honestly, that's terrible. Before this turns into a huge ramble, I think we'll stop right there. This is the last thing. I have edited all the rest of the video. The commentary is all recorded. The script obviously is now completed. All I have to do is stick this part at the end of the video and call it a video. That's all I have to do. This took so long to complete. It took roughly 4 days. I completely overestimated this project. I thought maybe, I'll sit down on the computer, edit it. It'll take about 6 hours. No. It didn't take 6 hours. It almost took 24 hours. Like 6 hours each of those 4 days. I just hope that my love for the company has shown. My love for this video, this channel, has shown. And I hope people appreciate what I tried to explain. I really appreciate you finding this video and clicking on it. I don't know how you found it. This channel is definitely not going to be in anyone's suggestions box. But obviously, you've seen some clips from my Will Bell Gaming channel in this video. If you want to go over, head over there. I also have my multiple live channel. I will be streaming Life is Strange 2 sometime in the near future, if not today, tomorrow maybe, as of uploading this video. Do you have anything to say to the viewers? Huh? You have anything to say to the viewers? No? No, stop looking at me. That's disgusting. So, thank you guys for watching. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.